Hi there, welcome to another episode of Dr. Impact's Quarantine Comic Book Prescription. This week, we are going to do it. We've been teasing it since the very first episode of this show, but now we're doing it. We are diving into the 2012 relaunch of Valiant. So first I want to say that, we're not really sure what's going to happen in the future with this show, if we're going to keep doing this. We know that new comics are coming back, so the whole new to you comic book day thing seems to be kind of like easing off a little bit. And we're not really sure if that's going to be a thing that's going to continue going. We might continue this show, we might not, we don't know, we're still thinking about it. But in the meantime, let's not worry about all that. Let's worry about comic books. Now, I've never read a Valiant comic in my life until now. Ever. I know about the characters and I know, kind of their basic backgrounds and what they do, but I've never actually read a full issue until here. And what I did was I broke up all of the Valiant stuff over like the first year or two and organized it into some sort of a reading order based on various different reading orders that I have found online. And what I have discovered is the best and easiest for me at this point is to read the first story arcs in their entirety. And then after that, read them as they were released, as their release order. So basically, the first 4 or 5 issues of EXO, and then switch over and read the first 4 or 5 issues of Harbinger, and so on. I have finished the first story arcs of all the major books, which include EXO, Harbinger, Bloodshot, Archer and Armstrong, and Shadow Man. Those are the first 5 that really kind of kick things off, and I've read the first story arcs of all. This video won't go in as much detail as we normally do on the comic prescription here, because I think we're going to be doing a full episode of the podcast itself devoted to the 2012 Valiants. So I'm not going to take up a whole lot of time here. The main thing is that these books are awesome. If you've never read a comic book before, if you don't know anything about shared universes or worlds or, all this stuff are the kind of things that we normally see in comics, these Valiant 2012 relaunch books, these are amazing. They are really, really fantastic books and such developed characters right off the bat. And I mean, I dove through it and couldn't tell you how excited I was reading them. They were so fun. This is a perfect comic book universe jump-in point for anyone who either has never read a comic book before or has any passing interest in action films or science fiction or anything like that. These are very interesting takes on superheroes, and they really are superheroes, but they're not superheroes in the traditional sense. It is very much rooted more in science fiction and fantasy, and just it makes it something different, especially for someone like me who reads a lot of Marvel and DC and Mighty Crusader stuff. These were very different, and I really, really enjoyed them. One of the books that I really enjoyed reading was Bloodshot. Again, I've only read the first story arc at this time. The first 4 issues of this were great. Now, I have seen the movie, and we will do an episode of the podcast coming up very soon, and a versus episode, only this time it will be the Bloodshot movie versus the Bloodshot comic. Spoiler, it doesn't match. But we'll get to that. You'll have to listen to the podcast and check out that episode for the details on that. Like I said, we're going to do a full episode of the podcast on all of these books. I will have read further. I want to get through the Harbinger Wars, which I think takes it up to late 2013, maybe early 2014, somewhere in there. So that would be about the first 1.5 to 2 years worth of Valiant, and that's what we're going to focus on in the podcast. So be sure to be on the lookout for an upcoming episode of my Big Fat Pull List that will focus solely on the 2012 relaunch of Valiant. That's it, guys. That's this week's New to You Comic Book Day, and quarantine comic prescription episode. As always, share with us what's new to you. Share with us what you've been reading while you've been in quarantine, while you've been in staying in place. We really want to see that stuff. Share pictures with us of the books that you've been reading. Share a video. We love to communicate with you guys, so please, by all means, let us know what you're reading. And of course, don't forget, you can always head on over to our Patreon page. We have a lot of really cool things there, but if there's anything that you want us to read that we've never read before and you want us to talk about it, there are various different tiers on our Patreon, and one of them is that you can pick a topic for an episode of the podcast. And if it's something we've never read before, then it can also be a new to you Comic Day tie-in as well. So head on over to our Patreon page and check that out. Anyway, that's it, guys. Until next time, I'm Dr. Impact.